Chapter 18. Minley followed the boy through the maze of streets and alleyways for what seemed like a long time. If it wasn't for the big buffalo that was always in view, Minley would have easily lost him many times. Not too far now, the boy said to her. Minley realized the boy lived very far from the inner city. The road was no longer stone, but dirt. Even from a distance, she could see that the outer city wall was cracked and broken. I live over here, the boy said, pointing, and Minley looked down a muddy path that led to a shabby, rickety hut that looked as if the first strong wind would blow it away. The boy brought the buffalo right into the hut, and Minley went in after. She looked around the small, meager home. The only furnishings Minley could see were 2 wooden crates and a rough stool. On one side of the hut, a crude metal grate stood in the fireplace with a well-worn pot on it. The other half of the hut was divided into 2 piles of dry grass. Minley watched as the buffalo went directly to one pile and lay down. The boy gave it an affectionate slap on the side and then dragged the rough wooden stool across the floor to her. "Here, have a seat," he said as he sprawled onto the other pile of grass. "And tell me why you want to go to the palace so much." "It's not the palace," Minley said as she sat on the stool. "I want to see the king." And she told the buffalo boy the whole story. She saw his face wrinkle with disbelief when she talked about the fish, and he shook his head when she told about the dragon, but he didn't interrupt once. "I don't know how you are going to see the king," the boy told her when she finished. "Even if you do see him, I doubt you'll be able to ask for a borrowed line, especially when you don't even know what it is." "But I have to," Minley said. "There must be a way." "Well, I always think better after I've eaten," the boy said, as he stood up and opened one of the crates. "Let's have dinner." While he fried the plain bamboo shoots in the pot over the fireplace, Minley looked around the bare room. "Do you live by yourself?" she asked. "Uh-huh," the boy nodded. "My parents died 4 years ago. Ever since then, it's been me and the buffalo." He spoke almost carelessly, without anger or self-pity. Suddenly, Minley thought about her own home, the wood floors always swept by Ma, the extra blanket Bob put over her when the wind blew cold, and she felt a strange tightness in her throat. The boy finished cooking and pushed the cooked bamboo, like thinly sliced pieces of yellow wood, onto a plate. He only had 1 plate, so he set it on the stool next to the 3 peaches Minley had left, and both sat cross-legged on the ground. She took out her chopsticks. He only had 1 pair of those as well, and each picked at and ate with the stool as a table and the single plate between them. "You don't have any aunts or uncles?" Minley asked. "Or family or friends?" "Well," the boy said, tossed a peach to the buffalo, and then hesitated. "I do have 1 friend." And Minley was surprised to see his face change unexpectedly. The sharpness of his expression softened like a flower blossoming, his small smile gentle. "Who is it?" Minley asked. And now we hear the story of the buffalo boy's friend. Sometimes during the hot summer days, there is not enough water for my buffalo, so I like to take him out of the city into the surrounding forest to drink in the stream there. One day, I brought him to the forest, and he kept pulling and pushing me away from the stream. No matter what I did, he refused to go in my direction. So finally, I just let him lead the way. He brought me to a part of the forest I had never seen before, a part I don't think anyone from the city has ever seen before. The trees seemed to reach the clouds. The green grass felt like a silk blanket, and there was a lake of clear water so pure and clean it looked as if it were a piece of the sky. But the most beautiful things were the 7 girls swimming in it. But when the girls saw me and the buffalo come through the trees, they screamed. They jumped out of the water, grabbed their towels, and ran away. They moved so quickly it seemed like they all disappeared into the sky. All except for one, that is. One girl stayed in the water and stared at me with scared eyes. Her hair floated around her like a midnight halo, and her white face looked like a star in the sky. "Hello?" I said. You're Buffalo," she said, and her voice was like a flute, notes in the air. "He's sitting on my towel." "Oh," I said. I quickly pushed him over. On the ground, crushed and a little muddy, was a blue towel. As I lifted it, the softness made me ashamed of my rough hands. "Here," I said, bringing the towel to the edge of the lake. "Thank you," she said. She was my age, but she was prettier than any girl I had ever seen before. Even paintings of princesses could not compare to her. "I didn't mean to scare you," I said. "My buffalo was just thirsty." "I guess so," she said, and laughed like tinkling bells as we watched my big, lumbering buffalo make his way to the water. "I can't believe my sisters just left me like that. I'm the youngest, too. They're supposed to watch me. But I'm glad they didn't, because now I can talk to you. Tell me about you. Does your buffalo go with you everywhere?" And just like that, we became good friends. She wanted to know everything about me and wasn't snobbish or anything. In fact, a lot of the time she sighed and said she wished she had my freedom. "I have to go before they miss me," she sighed. "I wish I could stay here. Where I live, I'm not allowed to do anything. There's always someone watching, telling me what to do, and it's kind of lonely." "Well, visit me," I told her. "We can have lots of fun together." "I'll try," she promised. And she kept her promise. Like she said, it was hard for her to get away, but every night on the full moon when she visits her grandfather, she stops here. Sometimes she can only stay for a little while. Sometimes she can stay for hours. Whenever I see her, we laugh enough to last for the next month. She's my best friend, and someday when we're old, I'm going to talk her into staying here forever. And that's the end of the story. "And she should be coming tonight," the Buffalo Boy said. His smile was bright and broad. "Oh, can I meet her?" Minley asked. It was funny how the Buffalo Boy's whole manner changed when he talked about her. His vaguely mocking attitude and tough expression washed away, and he lit up like a lantern. She was glad the boy had someone in his life other than the buffalo. The boy looked troubled. "She's really shy around other people," he said. "I think she's afraid if anyone sees her, her family might find out that she stops here instead of going straight to her grandfather's. They're really kind of strict with her." "I won't bother her then," Minley said. "Do you want me to leave?" "No, you can stay with the buffalo," he said. "She told me last time that this visit would have to be fast anyway. She was behind on her work, so they will expect her back quickly." "Work?" she asked. "What does she do?" "She weaves and spins thread," the boy said. "That's what she brings to her grandfather when she visits. Thread that she spins. Hey, I know. I'll ask her how you can see the king. She'll know." "How will a weaving girl know about the king?" Minley asked. "Does she live in the inner city?" "No, she lives far away," the boy said vaguely. "But she knows a lot of things." Minley shrugged. It didn't seem likely to her that a friend of the Buffalo Boy would know how she could see the king, but as she didn't have any ideas of her own, she would hope.